Yeah, obviously, really pleased and proud of our coaches and players, man. We say it every week, it was a great team win, but that was an incredible team win. Obviously, coming off Toledo, just again, a gut-wrenching 21-17 loss. You got us in Toledo. We got way down that game, and then we roared back and couldn't get the last score that you want, and so that our kids are pretty down. We had won 6 in a row, and then obviously, you lose your starting quarterback, your starting tight ends, who's an all-league player, hasn't played since Miami. Corey Suttle out. Major impact on your defense. Corey Suttle, one of our, him, Willard, and Ugu have been phenomenal, and Corey can't go. So you're talking about 3 major impact players, and you're probably talking about, in my opinion, for whatever my opinion's worth, a conference player of the year, and Brett, that's who you're leading. It's not like, okay, you lost your quarterback. Okay, there's some teams in our league lose their quarterback. Their guys aren't one of the best players in the league. Like, our guy is won 6 straight, and he is playing at a crazy high level. And then you go play a great OU team that's really well coached, and they play really hard, and they know what they're doing, and they got everybody back on offense, and they got a lot of guys back on defense. They're 5th in the country in defense. No one's moved the ball or scored points on them all year. Obviously, Rourke was the best player in our league a year ago. He's been a great player. They got the receivers, they got those running backs, they got the O-line. I mean, they're just like we said, us, Toledo, and OU, really complete teams, OD and special teams. I thought our defense obviously was a key early. We go 3 and backwards. They score, right, 4 plays, touchdown. Not exactly what you want when there's some doubts. You don't have your starting quarterback. You're on the road. They got a big crowd. Their crowd was boisterous. Their crowd used some very interesting language, which I don't mind at all. I kind of enjoy it personally. I don't know that our wives and our children enjoyed it, getting screamed at by college kids. So we read that stupid statement about, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it just means different places, as our wives and 5-year-old kids are getting swore at. That was pretty interesting. So, but to me, when I heard it just made all the better. I said, was that in the first quarter or the fourth quarter? But it was starting the game off with a raucous crowd on the road, and then they pounce on us, and boom, right down we get stuffed and sacked, and they go bam, 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 touchdown. And then we get stuffed and sacked, and bam, 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 and then our defense makes a key stop on that second series. To me, that's the key to the game, is if they punch that one in and make it 14, who knows? It might be on, it might be a route for OU, but we got to stop in the red zone, which was key, and we forced a field goal. We almost get the field goal, but again, they're up 9-0. That's not good. They've had 2 really quick drives, and we've done nothing. Then we go 3 and out again, and then our defense, Ugu comes up with a huge play. That sequence, the second and third series of the game, to me, changed the whole complexion of the game. Ugu gets a strip sack then. We go 3 and out again, but we get 3. Graham gets us 3. So now I'm thinking, okay, we've run 9 plays, we've gone backwards. They've had the ball 3 times. Twice they went right down the field, like right down the field. The third time it was just we got a strip sack. We didn't really necessarily stop them. But I'm looking up and it's 1 score. I'm like, it doesn't feel like a 1-score game. Kind of like Toledo, we were down 18. It didn't feel like to me we were down 18, even though I knew we were. But the play with that game at 9-3, it felt like 17. It felt like 14-0. It felt like we're getting our butts kicked. But somehow it's 9-3. It's like, okay, defense, key red zone stop, defense, key strip sack, and now we're only down 1 score, like touchdown, and we're up, and we haven't played very good football. And then we kind of got our footing underneath us, which we wanted, and then we get a good punt return. Again, that's why it's a team game. We get a stop and a good punt return, and we have a short field, and we get it. And I'm looking up, it's 9-6, and I'm like, they've outgained us, they've outpossessed us, but now it's 9-6, And then our footing gets offensively, and then we put together a nice drive, and Rashad makes a big chunk run. And all of a sudden it's 13-9 at half, and you're like, okay, this is exactly what the doctor ordered. And then second half, couple more scores, and all of a sudden it's 30-9. And you go on the road in those circumstances against a great team that's really well coached, that has really high-end players, and they won the MAC East a year ago, and you're down 9-0 early, and then you reel off 30 straight, all right, and basically put the game away on Kevin Davis's, the swing pass to Kevin Davis, and Cade Donald, probably the MVP of the game with the punt returns. Obviously, the defense after the first 2 drives, they don't give up another score until we're up 30-9. Didn't give up anything on the ground the whole game. Last year, OU at our place in the second half in particular really pushed it down our throats. They hammered the ball right at us in the second half a year ago and controlled the game, and they didn't run it. 3rd and 1, 4th and a half, stop, 3rd and 1, stop in the second half. Just our D-line and linebackers controlling the front. Those are huge plays that if they convert those, who knows? The game, it got to 30-9, but it was a much closer game than that. Anyone who was there knows that. It was a very, very tight game. We made all those key short yardage stops. Obviously, Graham was great. Our punt unit was great. We had plus 100 hidden yards in field position in special teams. We bungled the one kickoff a little bit, but our special teams was really solid. And then we ran the ball 46 times, and Rashad was huge. Rashad was grown man, really ran at a really high level, really physical. We got more and more going in the run game, and then special teams, another special teams play, we draw them offside with 7 minutes to go. I mean, they were going to get the ball back with 6:56 down 2 scores, and they had just scored a touchdown. That's still anybody's game, happens all the time. Like, looks good, but doesn't end good, Then we get them to jump, really disciplined by our guys to not move, and we get them to jump on the punt. And then we first down, and we give them the ball back with 35 seconds. So instead of getting back with 7 down 30-16, they got the ball back with 35 seconds down 30-16, ball game over. So being able to run the ball in those situations and get key first downs when they know you got to run it, obviously huge. So complete team effort for who we are. We're not going to be as flashy, obviously, without Brett. We're not going to, but very unselfish group. I thought, great examples. A lot of guys on ST blocking for Cade, starters, backups. Cade was fantastic, but there's also a lot of good blocks. It was a total punt return effort. We throw a swing pass in the red zone to KD to set up our first score. KD makes the first guy miss, which is just KD being a great player. Could have been a 4-yard loss, but KD spun off the first guy. Then Kenny Tracy gets a block, and Miles Marshall gets a block, and next thing you know, we're on the 1, and then we pound Rashad in from the 1 and score. And then on KD's touchdown, like I told the team, I said, Cade was feeling pretty good about himself. He's having a pretty nice day just on punt returns. We hadn't really thrown him the ball, but his mojo was rolling. He was, so he's got to bounce up. I got Joe Wilkins and Miles Marshall out there. We haven't thrown a ball to either one in the whole game. They're wideouts. I don't care who you are as a wideout. Do I mind blocking? Most of them hate blocking. Our guys are willing to block and do a heck of a job blocking. But they haven't got it. We're in the 4th quarter. They haven't had a ball thrown. Either one of them had a ball thrown to them all day. And we throw a spring pass, Katie. Joe Wilkins, they peel their DN. So we got a wideout, blocks their DN twice. Recognize it, sees it, comes off his guy, blocks the end. Obviously, Cade blocks his guy, does a tremendous job. And then Miles Marshall. And again, Cade should be, I'm just thinking big picture how brains work. Like, Cade's having a big day. I'm not surprised he's out there blocking his tail off because those other 2 guys haven't been just the way the game went. Was it the game plan to run it 46 times and throw it 11? No, just like Bowling Green. That wasn't the game plan. That was not the game plan. Just the way the game flowed and what we thought we needed to do to win. We got 2 receivers in the 4th quarter, blocked their tail for the biggest moment of the game to really ice the game. If you watch Miles and Joe Wilkins block, and Katie deserves a ton of credit, those guys hadn't had a pass thrown their way the whole game. And it's the 4th quarter, and they're not pouting, and they're not sulking. And again, they're probably disappointed. Yeah, I want the ball. I'm a wideout. I want the ball thrown to me. That's what I do, So, but to see those blocks, those are the first 2 guys I went up to were Joe and Miles. Pretty special for you to still be competing for your teammates, and it wasn't your day, And Miles has made big plays, and Joe's made big plays this year, but the way the game went, it just didn't flow that way. It wasn't intentional. We're not trying to throw the ball that little. That wasn't the game plan going in at all. Just how the game was flowing and what we felt gave us the best chance to win. So, really unselfish group, really competitive group. They embrace. You got after us last year at our play. We live in a real world. The second half, particularly, was a really good first half last year, back and forth. Second half, they physically whooped us on both sides of the ball. We knew that, and we watched tape, and they've been physically whipping everybody, and got 188 yards rushing. It was hard. It was not easy. It was a hard, workmanlike, grinding, staying after it, and It wasn't easy. It wasn't like we were just knocking them off, but we were fighting and scratching and clawing. Tight ends and O-line and receivers and running backs, and then obviously our defense stuffed the run and made them one-dimensional and really played some good man coverage and did some nice things in zone. And then obviously special teams, we didn't punt a ton, but Bev did a nice job. We covered him like always. Graham kicks every kickoff out of the end zone. I say we take it for granted. He's got 42 touchbacks. Like you kick one short, they got a good returner. He takes the house. It changed the whole game. We don't even think that's a possibility. But look at the touchbacks in our league. Like it's a huge weapon that you never have to deal with. We like when the ball goes to Kevin Davis or Mosey or those guys on kickoff return. We like when Cade gets those punt. Like those, they've got the same weapons we got, but he nullifies one of their biggest weapons. And again, it's just a touchback. It's a boring play, really. I mean, it's probably the most boring play in football. But then they got their most dynamic athlete doesn't get to touch the ball 4 or 5 times. So total team effort, total complete effort, great bounce back considering, we're 7-2 and we played 6 out of 9 on the road. That's hard. I'm just telling you, that's hard to do. Like it's hard to go 7-2, period. We've been on the road 6-9, just a wear and tear on the body and the travel. We stay in Columbus. We had to drive over an hour and again. Like it's so kids have really played together and competed and showed great resolve and great toughness and really embraced, going into a hostile environment and winning a big game on the road. And they earned it. They took the game and they physically won the matchup.
Coach, what did you think specifically about Avion Smith's performance on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought Avion was really good. Couple things on the first couple drives, but then he settled in really nice, really managed our offense. If it was a protection check, he did it. If it was a run pass option, he made the right decision. Got the ball where it needed to go. We didn't rely, we didn't throw it a ton, but he threw the ball good. Threw a beautiful ball to Gage. Gage was just out of bounds. More product. We got to give him a little more space, but it's a beautiful throw, beautiful catch. We were just a foot out of bounds. So, but threw the ball good when asked to. Those little swing passes are hard throws. Those are like the hardest throws in football. Guys running straight this way. You don't have a target. You're kind of throwing at his back, and he threw 3 to KD that were all huge. One set up our first score. Then one was a first down, and then one was a touchdown on our clinching drive. So those look like easy. Those are not easy passes. So he managed the game well. Obviously, he competes. We know that. He fought and scratched and, got the ball across the end zone on a run that was kind of a little murky and found a way to lean forward. He's a strong kid and found a way to, when we ran him down the red zone. So he had a really solid effort and really competed, and which we knew he would.
How much preparation, on the preparation during the week, was it mostly just oriented toward Ohio and what they do, especially offensively, or was there some degree, of working some more things in for AV to his strong suits and that, and gaining some confidence?
Yeah, I mean, both. Obviously, we're looking at OU and what they do. They run a very similar defense to ours. I mean, very, very similar. So we're kind of pretty well versed, trying to see how they're going to try to attack us. They don't really know. They knew AV was playing, but they don't know they got the same deal. Like, what are they exactly going to do with AD? Obviously, no matter what player you're playing, you're always trying to play their strengths. And Brett's different than AV, so it wasn't. But we still want to attack. We still attack the defense the same way versus fronts and coverages and blitzes and how to run the ball, throw the ball, and then just curtail it to maybe what AV does a little bit better in certain circumstances. So a little bit of both, for sure. So, and again, we know them pretty good, and they know us pretty good, and they did a good job early. We know they were doing some things on personnel, making calls based on personnel early. Which is smart. It's what we do, exactly what we do. So they did some nice things early to get us, and some we thought we had some good calls on, but they based on what they'd done, but they knew they'd scouted us pretty good and knew some personnel things. So always try to mix it up every week and try to look at what the other team's doing and try to give them some different looks. And we got into some stuff that they hadn't seen, which was nice, and got some nice plays on it.
So what can you tell us about Akron?
Yeah, so Akron's obviously They start the year off, they almost beat Temple. It's a really good football game, all right? Then they beat a 1AA in a tight game, and then they go to Indiana and should have losing 4 overtimes to Indiana. All right, and then they go to Buffalo or play Buffalo. I don't know if that was home or away. It might have been home, but whatever. They play Buffalo, who's obviously 3-1, and they lose to them so they lose overtime games back to back, and then they lose their quarterback. And the Orange Kids is such a dynamic threat, run, throw. If you watch the Indiana game, he was making plays all over the field. They've played really solid defense other than the Northern Illinois game. Northern Illinois ran the ball for 370 yards on them and got after them pretty good and blocked them up, and they're the only team that they've given up points to. The Bowling Green game, the score is deceiving. They kept turning the ball over and giving Bowling Green had a 3-yard drive, a 7-yard drive, a 22-yard drive. So they gave up 41 to Bowling Green, but Bowling Green's defense just kept getting turnover after turnover. Like every time I flipped the film on the balls on the 5, I'm like, so they've played really solid defense, and before they lost a quarterback, they were doing some really nice things on offense. Since they've lost their quarterback, they've struggled more on offense, which it's hard when you lose your starting quarterback. It's hard to find one really good quarterback, let alone multiple really good quarterbacks. So they've struggled on offense since that time. They're still trying to figure out, and they've had some games where they've turned the ball over, which has taken close games. But other than the OU game, every game they could have won. They're 1-6 or 1-7, whatever. I mean, it's 13-10, it's 24-21, it's 23-20. Like every game's tight. 17-10 to Central Michigan. Northern got after them. That Northern won. They beat them up pretty good. And then Bowling Green, they turned it over every other game they've been in. So they've got a lot of transfers. They've got a lot of twitchy athletic guys. Their defense is really well coached and knows what it's doing. Their offense is trying to find their footing. They've played 3 quarterbacks now. So who will end up playing against us? We know Irons is out, but how this, what they're trying to do. One's more of a drop back guy, one's more of a runaround guy. So they haven't really found their footing since they lost Irons. When they had Irons, they had what I thought was a really, really solid MAC team.
Your team's going to be coming into this game on 10 days rest, Akron only on 7. How do you feel about that? And what's it like kind of having your routine messed with this late in the season?
Yeah, again, it's everything in life's a pro and con in my mind. Obviously, to get some guys healed up and rested up, the break is wonderful going into week 10. From where we are as a team, you'd like to just keep rolling. We're in such a good groove. We've won 7 out of 8, and the 8th game, the game we lost wasn't a bad game. We lost a really good team at home and and played some really good football, and they made one more possession. So from that standpoint, you just like to keep rolling because we're in such a good groove. Having these extra 4 days, we're going to have to manage that and just and then all the hearing how great you are and how this, all that stuff, which is wonderful. They deserve those accolades because they've played great football on OD and special teams. They've got us to 7-2. They deserve that, but just having extra days to hear about that, not what we ever like as coaches. So, but the rest and recovery, everyone will tell you this time of year, everybody's beat up. We're going to have some guys feeling a lot better than they did with not having that weekly routine. So we're definitely going to take advantage of that.
Coach, with this being the second year now, you've had to go from Brett to Avion in midseason. Do you think that your team's any better suited this year than you were last year to kind of shift in midseason?
Yeah, last year we lost in game 1, so we didn't really shift. We hadn't even got it started. We lost a game to Kentucky, and then we were starting from scratch. This year, obviously, we were in a really good groove. I know we're coming off a tough loss, but we were still in, again, Toledo, disappointed we didn't win that game. I don't feel bad about how my team played. Like, our kids played their tails off. So it wasn't like we're in a different place as a team than coming off week 1, so that's better, you know what I mean? Our defense is in a good groove. Our special teams is in a good groove. Our offense has a good mojo going. And now they know we can win with AV because we won 5 games with them last year. Well, last year after Kentucky, it was like that was such an unknown for all of us, so it wasn't. Yes, losing Brett's a huge blow, and it takes the starch out of you, but not when, like, we know we're like, talk to Reed Holster, like, we're going to be fine. AV, I wish, I feel terrible for Brett, but we're going to, AV's going to go out there and compete and play, and we're going to be, so knowing we're in a better position because he has those experience, then we're in a better position because our team, we were rolling along, last year so early, we hadn't even started, so.
Defense, your guys do what they do. Special teams, they do what they do. Offensively, did you get a sense that they were gaining any confidence during the week and maybe early on they struggled and then they kind of turned it on. Did they gain confidence during the game? And I imagine playing with a lead helped a little bit too.
Yeah, once we got the lead right before the half. So the first half, we were down the whole half, obviously, until that last drive. But yeah, we gained confidence game. But again, when you play a team that's as physical and as good defensively as OU, you're not just going to go out there. Like we said, hey, no one's really stuck with getting after them. People tried to get after them. They lost, became one-dimensional throws. We know what that's like. We do that. We did that to OU, so we do that to lots of teams, like make them one-dimensional. So we just said, hey, we're gonna stay with attacking them in the ground game. Otherwise, you're never gonna run them. If you run the ball haphazardly against them, they're too damn good. So we got to try to wear down a team that maybe can't be worn down, but we got to at least try. We got to stay after. We got to keep pounding, And then again, it was tough yardage early to no yards, and then there was just some tough yards, and then finally, that right before the half, Rashad bounced one and got out in space, and he got some clean air. And anytime you get a tailback on the back end of any defense, tailbacks are good. That's what that's why they're Division I tailbacks. The good ones you keep in the backfield. Our guy bounced and got out in space and turned into big plays. So our players just kind of keep chipping away, and keep staying after them. Their backers are so good laterally, 32 and 38. They had 28 tackles. Again, it's like I said, 2 Salopeks out there. Like, they're just so good laterally that, again, it's just hard to do things east and west against them because they swallow everything up. So even though they haven't been giving up anything north and south, we felt like still we had to go right at them because when you try to outrun those two cats, you can't. They get to everything so quickly. So O-line, as the game went on, kind of just a little bit warmed down, got a little bit more air, and obviously Rashad ran great and KD ran great, and Avion had some hard runs, and nothing was easy. But we knew, like I said, after Miami, when we were delusional of who we thought we were, we've been very realistic as a team, and knew like it's going to be, if we run on them, it's going to be hard yards. It's not going to be these gaping seams, and really it's going to be and we kind of said all week, this is going to be a knockdown, drag out, not very pretty, just keep doing it. And our offense has been good this year at kind of figuring out what we need. We've thrown it more, we've run it more. Like, if you go game to game, what are we? I'm not sure, but we can run and we can throw efficiently. All right, we can do both. There's been games, BG and OU, we kind of just went to the run, and it wasn't predetermined. There's other games, because of what teams were doing, we fired the ball down the field or threw the ball more often based on kind of where the game situation was. So, like I said, we talked about trying to be that team that can play any style, and we've become that team. We can play any style. We can play high scoring. We can play low scoring. We can, at the end of the day, our team got 30 points against a team that it's very hard to get 30 points on. And it was a team effort. It was Cade McDonald on punt returns. It was touchbacks on kickoffs. It was sack fumbles. It was 3 and outs on defense. It was short fields. It was offense getting some tough yards running and passing. It was, we held them to 16 points based on our teams, not based on our defense. The defense, well, we kept them on. When our offense wasn't moving the ball, we didn't turn it over, and we didn't usually go backwards. So we moved the ball forward and we punted. So now you got to go at 80 yards against our defense. Well, Toledo did it 3 times. I was, disappointed in the first half, but it's hard. It's hard to go 80 yards on any defense, let alone ours, So we held them to 16 points because of OD and special teams. It wasn't like, and our kids have become that team, and it's hard. It's not like these guys sit up here like me and think they've got like 1 year, and this was who we are. No, this is who we are in 2023. Who you were in 2022 and who you are in 2024 means, like, that's not how it works. Like, these guys have good years, and that's our culture to be a team. We're trying to be this way every year. It's not that easy. But this group is doing it, and they're playing high-scoring games. They're playing low-scoring games. They're coming from behind. They're playing with big leads. We've had big leads. We've been chased down. We've tried to chase down Toledo. Like, it doesn't seem to matter to these guys. After Miami, it mattered. When we got down 14-0 to Miami, we were all pouting. We were all disappointed in somebody other than ourselves. It was a very, and we learned a hard lesson that day that, if you're going to play that way, if you expect it to be pretty and beautiful and easy, well, you'll be a pretty crappy football team, So it's been a great job by our coaching staff getting our kids ready to play and play for one another. It's been a great job by our kids because it's hard to do in 2023 to play this way.